Chapter 1. The Seeds of Betrayal. Nestled between rolling hills and a serene lake, the town of Meadowbrook was a picture of idyllic beauty. Quaint cobblestone streets wound through the town, lined with cozy cafes and charming shops that beckoned locals and tourists alike. The air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers from the many gardens dotting the landscape, and the gentle murmur of the lake provided a constant, soothing backdrop. It was here that Matthew and Lisa O'Hara had built their life together, sharing dreams and aspirations and creating a sanctuary filled with love and warmth. Matthew was a tall man with a rugged handsomeness that belied his gentle nature. His sandy hair framed a face that could appear stern in moments of concentration, but his soft blue eyes always revealed his true kindness. As an architect, he spent his days designing homes that blended seamlessly with the natural beauty of Meadowbrook. His creations were celebrated for their elegance and harmony with the environment, reflecting his deep connection to the town. Lisa, with her fiery red hair and vibrant personality, was a talented artist whose paintings adorned the walls of their home and local galleries. Her art was a vivid expression of her spirit, capturing the essence of Meadowbrook's landscapes and the people she loved. Her studio, a sunlit room at the back of their house, was her sanctuary. There, she would lose herself for hours, transforming blank canvases into masterpieces of color and emotion. Their marriage, now in its 10th year, seemed perfect to the outside world. They had 2 beautiful children, Emily and Jack, who brought joy and laughter into their lives. Their cozy home, with its large windows overlooking the lake and a garden bursting with life, was a testament to their hard work and shared dreams. Their deep bond had weathered life's storms, from financial struggles to personal losses, forging a connection that appeared unbreakable. Yet beneath the surface, cracks had begun to form. Matthew's career demands had increased, leaving him exhausted and distant. He would come home late, his mind still consumed by blueprints and deadlines, barely able to muster the energy to engage with his family. Lisa, struggling to balance her art and motherhood, felt increasingly isolated. Her once vibrant paintings began to reflect her inner turmoil, and she found herself yearning for the closeness they had once shared. It was during this turbulent time that Matthew met Claire. She was a striking woman with an air of confidence that drew people to her. Her dark hair, sharp features, and piercing green eyes gave her an almost mesmerizing presence. As a new client, she had hired Matthew to design her dream home on the outskirts of town. Their professional relationship quickly evolved into something more, fueled by long hours working closely together and shared passions. Claire's dream home was to be a modern marvel, nestled in a secluded part of Meadowbrook, surrounded by woods and overlooking a small private pond. The project required frequent site visits and detailed discussions, giving Matthew and Claire ample opportunities to connect on a personal level. They bonded over their love for design, art, and nature, finding in each other a kindred spirit. Matthew's infidelity began not out of malice, but from a profound sense of loneliness and a desperate need for validation. Claire was attentive, understanding, and filled a void that Matthew hadn't even realized existed. She listened to his frustrations and fears, offering comfort and admiration that he no longer felt at home. Their affair was brief but intense, a whirlwind of stolen moments and whispered confessions. For Matthew, it was an escape from the pressures of his life, a temporary refuge where he felt seen and appreciated. The affair's impact was profound. Matthew was consumed by guilt, realizing that he had betrayed the trust of the woman he loved most in the world. The weight of his actions hung heavily on him, clouding his thoughts and darkening his days. After a month, he ended the relationship with Claire, vowing to focus on repairing his marriage. He promised himself that he would never again stray from the path of fidelity, determined to rebuild the life he had nearly shattered. With Claire out of his life, Matthew threw himself into his work and family with renewed vigor. He began to spend more time at home, helping Lisa with the children and making a conscious effort to reconnect with her. They started going on dates again, rediscovering the joy of each other's company. Slowly, the warmth began to return to their marriage, and the cracks that had formed seemed to heal. Lisa, unaware of the affair, sensed the change in Matthew and welcomed it with open arms. She believed that they had weathered the storm and come out stronger on the other side. Little did she know, the seeds of betrayal had been sown, and their consequences would one day come to light, threatening to destroy the fragile peace they had rebuilt. Chapter 2. Reconciliation and Deception. Lisa had sensed something was amiss. The late nights, the distant stares, the faint scent of a perfume that wasn't hers. All were subtle clues that her husband was keeping something from her. The perfume lingered in the air like a ghost, a haunting reminder of an unseen presence. She noticed how Matthew would often retreat into his thoughts, his eyes distant and unfocused, as if he were grappling with some inner turmoil. Yet she chose to trust him, hoping that whatever was causing the rift would eventually pass. Lisa believed in the strength of their bond and the love they had shared for so many years. One evening, as they sat on their porch overlooking the lake, the sky painted with hues of pink and orange, Matthew finally broke down. The serenity of the lake contrasted sharply with the storm brewing inside him. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the water, and the air was cool with the promise of nightfall. Matthew's voice trembled as he began to speak. "I can't keep this inside anymore, Lisa," he said, his eyes welling up with tears. "I've been feeling so overwhelmed by work. It's been suffocating me, and I feel like I've been failing you and the kids." Lisa's heart ached at the sight of her husband's vulnerability. She reached out, taking his hand in hers, feeling the roughness of his skin, a reminder of his hard work and dedication. "Matthew, we can get through this together. You're not alone in this. We promise to support each other, remember?" Matthew nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I'm so sorry for how distant I've been. I don't want to lose you, Lisa. I promise I'll do better. I'll be here for you and the kids." Moved by his vulnerability, Lisa forgave him, grateful for his honesty and determined to work through their issues. She wrapped her arms around him, holding him close, feeling the tension slowly leave his body. In that moment, she believed they could overcome anything as long as they faced it together. They sought counseling, and slowly, the warmth returned to their marriage. The therapist's office became a sanctuary, a place where they could lay bare their fears and frustrations. The walls were adorned with calming artwork, and the soft hum of a white noise machine created a sense of privacy and security. Through guided conversations and exercises, they began to understand each other's needs and fears more deeply. They rekindled their intimacy, found joy in their shared interests, and leaned on each other more than ever before. Weekend getaways, cooking together, and rediscovering their love for hiking through the nearby woods brought them closer. Lisa believed they had weathered the storm, unaware of the deeper betrayal that lay buried beneath Matthew's heartfelt apologies. Matthew, for his part, was tormented by his secret. The memory of Claire and their affair haunted him, gnawing at his conscience. He had chosen not to tell Lisa about the affair, fearing it would destroy the fragile peace they had rebuilt. Each time he looked into Lisa's trusting eyes, he felt the weight of his deception grow heavier. He convinced himself that protecting her from the truth was an act of love, but in reality it was a cowardice born from fear of losing everything he held dear. He rationalized that if Lisa never found out, they could continue to rebuild their lives together, free from the shadow of his mistake. Yet the guilt lingered, a constant reminder of his weakness. As they sat on their porch each evening, watching the sun set over the lake, Matthew silently vowed to be a better husband and father. He immersed himself in his family, hoping that his actions could somehow atone for his past. But deep down, he knew that the truth, if ever revealed, would shatter the delicate balance they had achieved. Lisa continued to trust in their renewed connection, blissfully unaware of the secret that could unravel their lives. The seeds of reconciliation had been sown, but the specter of deception loomed large, waiting for the moment when the past would resurface and test the strength of their bond once more. Chapter 3. The past revisited years past, and the shadow of the affair faded into the background of their lives. Their children, Emily and Jack, grew into bright, spirited individuals who brought joy and laughter into their home. Lisa and Matthew focused on their careers, Matthew thriving in his architectural projects that continued to shape Meadowbrook's landscape, and Lisa gaining recognition for her vibrant paintings that captured the essence of their beloved town. Their bond, though scarred by past turmoil, remained strong. It seemed as though the past had been left behind, buried beneath layers of daily routines and shared aspirations. But fate had other plans. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Lisa strolled through the bustling farmer's market, the air filled with the scent of apples and cinnamon, she spotted a familiar face. Claire, looking as striking as ever, with her confident demeanor and impeccable style, stood by a booth selling handmade jewelry. A chill ran down Lisa's spine as memories of her suspicions and Matthew's late nights came flooding back like an unwelcome tide. Curiosity got the better of her, and Lisa approached Claire cautiously, the sounds of market chatter and laughter fading into the background. She admired Claire's jewelry, commenting on its craftsmanship and unique designs. Claire smiled warmly, seemingly unaware of the storm she had unwittingly walked into. They chatted briefly, exchanging pleasantries, but Lisa couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Claire's presence in Meadowbrook than a simple coincidence. Her heart raced with a mixture of dread and determination. She needed to know the truth, no matter how painful. That evening, as the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, Lisa confronted Matthew. They sat in their living room, the familiar warmth of their home now tinged with an icy tension. The fireplace crackled softly, casting dancing shadows on the walls, a stark contrast to the turmoil brewing inside Lisa. "I saw Claire today," Lisa began, her voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of disbelief. Matthew froze, his expression shifting from confusion to fear. "Claire? What do you mean?" Lisa's gaze bore into him, her eyes searching for any hint of deception. "Don't play dumb, Matthew. I saw her at the market. She's back in Meadowbrook." Panic flickered in Matthew's eyes, confirming Lisa's worst fears. The truth, long buried beneath layers of denial and half-truths, tumbled out in a painful, disjointed confession. Matthew's voice cracked as he admitted to the affair, the late nights, the stolen moments, and his decision to hide it from her all these years. His words hung heavy in the air, shattering the fragile peace they had painstakingly rebuilt. Lisa's world crumbled around her. Betrayal, anger, and heartbreak surged through her, mingling with a profound sense of disillusionment. She had trusted Matthew, fought for their marriage through the darkest of times, and now, standing on the precipice of truth, she realized it was all built on a lie. The foundation of their love, once strong and unwavering, had been cracked beyond repair. Tears streamed down Lisa's cheeks as she confronted the harsh reality. The man she loved had betrayed her in the most intimate of ways, and the pain cut deeper than she could have imagined. The life they had built together, the dreams they had shared, everything now felt tainted by deceit. Matthew reached out to her, desperate to bridge the chasm that had opened between them. "Lisa, please, I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I thought I was protecting you." His words fell on deaf ears as Lisa recoiled from his touch, her heart torn between love and fury. "Protecting me?" she whispered, her voice trembling with raw emotion. "You lied to me, Matthew. You made me doubt myself, question everything. How could you?" There was no easy answer, no excuse that could justify his betrayal. Matthew hung his head in shame, unable to meet her gaze. He had gambled with their love and lost, and now, faced with the consequences of his actions, he felt utterly powerless. The silence that followed was suffocating, broken only by the distant sounds of crickets outside, a stark reminder of the peaceful evenings they had once shared. In that moment, Meadowbrook seemed a world away, its quaint charm overshadowed by the wreckage of their shattered marriage. As Lisa stood there, her heart heavy with sorrow and anger, she knew that nothing would ever be the same again. The revelation had irreversibly altered the course of their lives, leaving them both adrift in a sea of regrets and what-ifs. The past, once buried, had resurfaced with a vengeance, threatening to engulf them in its wake. Chapter 4. The Grudge. The days following Matthew's confession were a blur of raw emotion for Lisa. She vacillated between rage and sorrow, struggling to comprehend the depth of her husband's betrayal. Despite Matthew's pleas for forgiveness and his genuine remorse, Lisa couldn't shake the feeling of being deceived. She continued to fulfill her daily responsibilities with a robotic efficiency, caring for their children and maintaining appearances. But inside, she was seething. The love she once felt for Matthew was now tainted by a simmering resentment that grew with each passing day. Lisa threw herself into her art, using it as a refuge and an outlet for her pain. Her once bright and vibrant paintings became darker and more intense, reflecting the turmoil within her soul. In the solitude of her studio, she unleashed her emotions onto canvases, creating pieces that spoke of betrayal, loss, and fractured trust. Each brushstroke carried the weight of her disillusionment, a silent scream of anguish that echoed through her work. Friends and family noticed the change in Lisa, the subtle shift in her demeanor, and the somber undertones in her art, but she deflected their concerns with practiced ease. She smiled through social gatherings, masked her inner turmoil with grace, and maintained the facade of a devoted wife and mother. Only in the sanctuary of her studio did she allow herself to confront the depth of her pain. The months turned into years, and while the visible wounds healed, the grudge Lisa held against Matthew festered like a dormant volcano waiting to erupt. She buried herself in routine, finding solace in the familiarity of daily life while harboring a silent vow of retribution. She wanted Matthew to feel the same anguish and betrayal she had experienced, to understand the depth of her suffering and the irreparable damage he had caused. Matthew, haunted by the ghost of his past indiscretion, tried desperately to mend their fractured relationship. He showered Lisa with affection, sought her forgiveness at every opportunity, and made every effort to prove his devotion. Yet no matter how sincere his efforts, he could not erase the shadow of doubt that now clouded Lisa's heart. Their intimacy, once a source of comfort and connection, became strained under the weight of unspoken grievances. Lisa struggled to trust Matthew again, her mind plagued by memories of his infidelity and the shattered illusions of their once perfect marriage. She withdrew emotionally, erecting walls around her heart to shield herself from further pain. One fateful evening, as they sat in the dim glow of the living room, the silence between them stretched taut like a frayed thread. Lisa's gaze lingered on Matthew, studying the lines etched on his face, the weariness in his eyes, a stark reminder of the man who had betrayed her trust. "Lisa," Matthew began softly, his voice tinged with desperation. "I love you. I'm sorry, truly sorry for what I did, please. Can't we move past this?" Lisa's expression hardened, the mask of composure slipping momentarily to reveal the storm raging within. "Move past this?" she echoed bitterly, her voice laced with hurt. "How can we move past something that's changed everything?" Matthew reached out to her, his hand trembling as he tried to bridge the chasm that had widened between them. "I'll do anything, Lisa. Just tell me what I need to do to make things right." But Lisa pulled away, her eyes flashing with a mixture of anger and sorrow. "You can't fix this, Matthew," she said quietly, her words a damning verdict. "You broke us." With those words hanging heavy in the air, Lisa retreated to the solitude of her thoughts, leaving Matthew to grapple with the consequences of his actions. The rift between them had deepened, a gulf of betrayal and resentment that seemed insurmountable. For Lisa, forgiveness had become an elusive mirage, overshadowed by the weight of her wounded pride and the desire for justice. She nursed her grudge in silence, biding her time, waiting for the opportunity to reclaim the power that had been stolen from her. In the quiet corners of her mind, she began to formulate a plan that would exact a price for the pain she had endured, a plan that would force Matthew to confront the consequences of his betrayal. The seeds of revenge had taken root, driven by a relentless need to restore balance to the shattered fragments of her heart. Chapter 5. The Return of Claire. It was a warm summer evening when Claire returned to Meadowbrook. The town welcomed her back with open arms, its familiar streets and quaint charm offering a comforting embrace. Claire had moved to the city shortly after ending things with Matthew, seeking a fresh start away from the memories that haunted her. Yet Meadowbrook had always held a special place in her heart, a place where she had once believed in second chances and new beginnings. Lisa's chance encounter with Claire at a local art exhibit reignited her desire for vengeance. She had observed Claire from a distance, her presence a vivid reminder of the betrayal that had shattered her marriage. Lisa saw an opportunity to use Claire's return to her advantage, to finally make Matthew pay for his deception. With calculated precision, Lisa reached out to Claire under the pretense of rekindling their brief acquaintance. She invited her to join the local art community, knowing that Claire's presence would unsettle Matthew and force him to confront his past. Claire, unaware of Lisa's true intentions, accepted the invitation with genuine warmth, eager to reconnect with the town she had once called home. As the weeks passed, Lisa and Claire grew closer. They bonded over their shared love of art and their experiences in Meadowbrook, the hidden nooks and crannies, the vibrant community, and the memories that lingered around every corner. Lisa skillfully manipulated their conversations, subtly planting seeds of doubt and regret in Claire's mind about her past relationship with Matthew. During their quiet moments together, Lisa would steer their discussions towards topics that touched on Matthew's character and his actions during the time of their affair. She spoke of forgiveness and the challenges of rebuilding trust, all the while gauging Claire's reactions with a keen eye. Claire, caught in Lisa's carefully woven web of half-truths and insinuations, began to question her own memories of the past, a past clouded by fleeting moments of passion and the bitter taste of betrayal. Meanwhile, Matthew sensed the growing tension but remained oblivious to the depths of Lisa's strategic maneuvering. He watched with a mix of apprehension and guilt as Claire integrated herself back into the fabric of Meadowbrook's social scene, unaware of the storm gathering on the horizon. One evening, as summer drew to a close and the air grew crisp with the promise of autumn, Lisa invited Claire to join her for a quiet dinner at a cozy bistro overlooking the lake. The setting sun painted the sky in shades of gold and pink, casting a serene glow over their conversation. Over glasses of wine and shared memories, Lisa broached the subject that had been weighing heavily on her mind. "Claire, I've always admired your strength and resilience," she began, her voice gentle, yet tinged with a hint of steel. "But I wonder if you've ever fully reckoned with the past, specifically your relationship with Matthew." Claire's expression faltered, a flicker of uncertainty crossing her features. "What do you mean?" she asked cautiously, her voice betraying a hint of unease. Lisa's gaze held steady, her words measured. "I know about your affair with Matthew," she stated bluntly, watching Claire's reaction closely. Claire paled, her breath catching in her throat. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered, her composure slipping. Lisa leaned forward slightly, her eyes narrowing slightly. "Claire, please," she pressed gently, her voice carrying a note of sympathy. "I've seen the way you look at him, the memories that linger in your eyes. You can't deny what happened between you." Torn between guilt and confusion, Claire remained silent for a long moment, grappling with the weight of Lisa's revelation. The truth, once buried beneath layers of denial and self-preservation, threatened to surface with devastating clarity. In that poignant moment, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the lake shimmered with reflections of fading light, the fragile equilibrium of their intertwined destinies hung in the balance. Lisa's pursuit of justice had set in motion a chain of events that would test the bonds of trust and loyalty, forever altering the lives of those caught in its wake. Chapter 6. The revelation. Matthew's heart plummeted when he spotted Claire at one of Lisa's art shows. The sight of her, elegant and poised amidst the vibrant gallery, brought back a rush of memories and guilt that he had worked so hard to bury. He felt as though the ground had shifted beneath his feet, leaving him unsteady and exposed. That evening, as they drove home in silence, the weight of unspoken truths hung heavy in the air. Matthew struggled to find the right words, his mind racing with fear and regret. Finally, unable to bear the suffocating silence any longer, he turned to Lisa with pleading eyes. "Why did you invite Claire back into our lives?" Matthew's voice cracked, betraying the anguish that gripped his heart. He had hoped that their fragile peace was enough to shield them from the ghosts of their past, but now, faced with Claire's unexpected return, the facade of their reconciliation crumbled like sand slipping through his fingers. Lisa met his gaze with a steely resolve, her jaw set in determination. There was a hardness in her eyes that Matthew had never seen before, a resolve born from years of silent suffering and suppressed rage. "I invited her back because I want you to suffer." Lisa's voice was steady, each word laced with bitterness. "I want you to feel the weight of your betrayal every single day. I want you to understand the pain you've caused me, the doubts you've planted in my mind, and the cracks in our marriage that you tried so desperately to hide." Matthew recoiled, as if struck, the full force of Lisa's words crashing over him like a tidal wave. He had believed that time would heal their wounds, that their love would be enough to bridge the chasm between them. But Lisa's grudge had taken root, poisoning the very foundation of their relationship with its bitter tendrils. "I'm sorry," Matthew whispered hoarsely, his voice thick with remorse. "I never meant to hurt you." Lisa's expression softened momentarily, a fleeting flicker of pain crossing her features before she hardened her resolve once more. "But you did," she replied quietly, her voice trembling with suppressed emotion. "And now we're left to pick up the pieces." They sat in silence, the weight of their shared sorrow hanging between them like a veil. Outside, the night stretched on, its quiet darkness a stark contrast to the turmoil raging within their hearts. In the days that followed, Matthew struggled to navigate the shattered fragments of their marriage. He sought solace in late-night conversations and heartfelt apologies, but each attempt at reconciliation was met with a wall of silence from Lisa. Her wounds ran deep, festering beneath layers of unresolved pain and resentment. Meanwhile, Claire's presence in Meadowbrook cast a long shadow over their lives, a constant reminder of the past they had tried so desperately to leave behind. Matthew avoided her, his guilt a heavy burden he carried with him everywhere he went. He saw glimpses of Claire around town, the market, the local cafes, but each sighting filled him with a sickening sense of dread. Lisa, too, wrestled with her own demons, navigating the labyrinth of her emotions with a steely determination. She threw herself into her art with renewed fervor, channeling her pain into a series of paintings that spoke volumes about betrayal, loss, and the fragile nature of trust. Each brushstroke was a silent rebellion against the injustice she had endured, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. As the months passed, Matthew and Lisa found themselves drifting further apart, their once inseparable bond strained to the breaking point. The wounds of betrayal had left scars that refused to heal, leaving them adrift in a sea of regrets and what-ifs. One evening, as they stood on the shore of the lake they had once loved, Matthew reached out to Lisa with trembling hands. "Please," he pleaded, his voice raw with emotion. "Let's not give up on us. I'll do anything to make things right." Lisa's gaze softened as she looked at the man who had once been her everything, her heart torn between love and the remnants of her wounded pride. She knew that forgiveness was a distant shore they might never reach, but in that moment, beneath the starlit sky, she saw a glimmer of hope, a fragile thread connecting their fractured souls. "I don't know if we can ever go back," Lisa murmured softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "But maybe, just maybe, we can find a way forward." They stood there, two figures silhouetted against the backdrop of a shimmering lake, their hands clasped together in silent understanding. The night unfolded around them, its quiet beauty a testament to the resilience of love in the face of adversity. A love battered and bruised, yet still beating with a flicker of hope. As they turned to walk back to the warmth of their home, a solitary figure watched from the shadows. Claire stood at the edge of the lake, her expression unreadable, her presence a haunting echo of the past they could never fully escape. In that moment, Meadowbrook seemed a world away, a town steeped in memories, its cobblestone streets winding through the tapestry of their shared history. And amidst the echoes of their shattered dreams, Matthew and Lisa found themselves on the precipice of a new beginning, a fragile journey towards healing, forgiveness, and the uncertain promise of tomorrow. Chapter 7. The Final Act. As the tension between Matthew and Lisa reached its peak, Claire found herself caught in the middle of a storm she had unwittingly walked into upon her return to Meadowbrook. Lisa's simmering desire for revenge had been carefully nurtured over years of silent resentment. It culminated in a meticulously planned public confrontation during a town event, a fundraiser for the local community centre, attended by their friends and neighbours. The air buzzed with anticipation as Lisa took the stage, her expression resolute and unwavering. Matthew stood by her side, his face a mask of apprehension and dread. He had sensed Lisa's growing anger and frustration, but he had never expected her to unleash her fury in such a public forum. With unwavering determination, Lisa addressed the gathered crowd, her voice steady despite the storm raging within her. "I have something I need to share," she began, her words cutting through the hushed murmurs of the audience. "For years I have kept silent, hoping to protect my family and our reputation. But tonight, the truth must come to light." Eyes widened and whispers rippled through the crowd as Lisa exposed Matthew's infidelity and deception. She recounted the painful betrayal, sparing no detail as she laid bare the shattered fragments of their marriage. Gasps of disbelief echoed in the room, mingling with murmurs of sympathy and judgment. Matthew stood frozen, his world collapsing around him with each damning revelation. The weight of Lisa's words bore down on him like a crushing weight, leaving him humiliated and broken before their community. The faces of friends and neighbours blurred into a sea of accusatory stares, their once supportive and close-knit circle now turned against him. Claire watched from the sidelines, her heart heavy with guilt and regret. She had unwittingly become a pawn in Lisa's vendetta, her presence fueling the flames of a fire she had thought long extinguished. She had returned to Meadowbrook seeking redemption, only to find herself entangled in a web of bitterness and betrayal. In the aftermath of Lisa's public denouncement, Matthew retreated into a solitary existence, isolated and alone amidst the wreckage of his shattered reputation. The community's judgment weighed heavily on him, a constant reminder of the irreversible damage he had inflicted upon his marriage and those he held dear. Meanwhile, Lisa stood amidst the aftermath of her calculated revenge, a hollow sense of victory settling over her like a shroud. She had achieved her goal of exposing Matthew's betrayal to the world, of making him pay for the pain he had caused her. But as she looked upon the ruins of their marriage, the love she once felt for him now lay in tatters, irreparably damaged by the bitterness and resentment that had consumed her. The days that followed were filled with a deafening silence between Matthew and Lisa, a silence punctuated only by the echoes of their shattered dreams and the bitter taste of regret. Each day became a relentless cycle of guilt and sorrow, their once inseparable bond fractured beyond repair. For Lisa, the taste of revenge was bittersweet, a fleeting moment of triumph overshadowed by the emptiness that now consumed her heart. She had sacrificed everything in her quest for justice, only to find herself adrift in a sea of regrets and what-ifs. As Meadowbrook settled back into its familiar rhythm, Matthew and Lisa found themselves navigating the aftermath of their shattered lives. The town's gossip mill churned with speculation and judgment, their story becoming a cautionary tale of love betrayed and trust shattered. In the quiet solitude of her thoughts, Lisa wondered if she had made the right choice, if exposing Matthew's betrayal had truly brought her the closure she had sought. The wounds of betrayal ran deep, leaving her grappling with the painful realization that some scars never truly heal. And amidst the echoes of their fractured love, Matthew and Lisa stood at the crossroads of their once promising future, a future now uncertain and fraught with the remnants of their shattered dreams. Epilogue: The Aftermath. In the aftermath of their tumultuous journey, Lisa and Matthew O'Hara found themselves unable to salvage the shattered remnants of their once promising marriage. After the public exposure of Matthew's betrayal and the subsequent fallout, Lisa and Matthew faced the painful reality that their trust and love had been irreparably damaged. The silent rift between them grew wider with each passing day, a chasm too vast to bridge despite their shared history and the love that had once bound them together. Eventually, they made the heart-wrenching decision to part ways, opting for a divorce that would sever the final ties of their fractured relationship. For Lisa, the decision brought a mixture of relief and sorrow, a painful acknowledgement that the dreams they had once shared had dissolved into bitter regret. Lisa immersed herself in her art, finding solace in the depths of her creativity and the unwavering support of her friends and community. Her paintings became a cathartic outlet for the turmoil and heartache she had endured, each brushstroke a silent testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, Matthew left Meadowbrook behind, haunted by the memories of his mistakes and the consequences they had wrought. He sought a fresh start in a new town, hoping to outrun the shadows of his past and rebuild his life from the ground up. Yet the weight of his actions followed him like a ghost, a constant reminder of the pain he had caused and the shattered trust he had betrayed. Claire, too, departed Meadowbrook, her presence having unwittingly stirred the embers of a fire that had long smoldered beneath the surface. She relocated to a new city, seeking redemption and solace in a place where the echoes of her past could fade into distant whispers. Her heart heavy with remorse, Claire carried the lessons learned from Meadowbrook, a town forever marked by the complexities of love, betrayal, and the human heart. The story of Lisa and Matthew O'Hara became a cautionary tale in Meadowbrook, a poignant reminder of the fragility of trust and the destructive power of secrets left unspoken. The once idyllic town continued to flourish, its cobblestone streets winding through the tapestry of everyday life. Yet beneath its tranquil facade, the scars of their broken marriage lingered, a silent testament to the complexities of human relationships and the enduring impact of choices made in the name of love. As time passed, the wounds slowly healed, leaving behind a bittersweet legacy in the hearts of those who had witnessed their journey. Lisa and Matthew's story served as a poignant reminder that while love may falter and trust may fracture, the resilience of the human spirit endures, a testament to the enduring power of hope, forgiveness, and the uncertain promise of tomorrow.